Good morning, Lisa.
Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. How are you?
I may be 2 minutes early. I'm fine. How are you?
Fine. Please introduce yourself to those that don't know you and tell us why are we here.
All right. My name is Lisa Combrinck. I've been requested by the department to chair the Culture Working Group of the G20 South African Presidency 2025.
That's a tough role. Being a chairperson of the G20 Culture Working Group meeting, it's not going to be easy for the next 2 days for you.
I agree with you. It's not an easy task, but I think the fact is that all the delegates that are here from different countries are very passionate around cultural issues. And I think that we will be able to work together in order to reach some kind of consensus, to work on our zero draft declaration, and perhaps even more important than that, to come up with interventions that the G20 should champion in the cultural domain.
So, how many countries are here and why are they here? And what is it that you are planning to achieve prior to the main event happening in November?
You know, we have around 24 countries participating, and of course there are international organizations as well. They're guest countries. Recently, the African Union has also joined and become part of the G20 group, which of course for us as Africans is very important for us. But really what the G20 is trying to do is to really assert itself on the global stage in terms of culture. And as South Africa, in our issue note, we've taken on at least 4 priorities. And I think the minister this morning expanded upon that when he spoke.
He said cultural heritage preservation.
Yes, the first one is around issues of heritage preservation, but particularly around restitution and repatriation. And what we've seen in the first Culture Working Group and also the webinars that we did with UNESCO is that what a lot of countries are pushing for is that there should be commonly agreed protocols around repatriation and restitution. And I think we've been honored to even have Interpol participating in this. So that's number one. The second issue is really around it's around the cultural economy, how culture contributes to sustainable development, but how on its own it contributes economically. So that's also very important for us. What has come out in the discussions up until now is the importance of the creative workers having decent work, fair pay, and so forth. And that's been something that some countries have championed. I remember in the webinars with UNESCO, Germany, Australia, for instance, were really pushing that forward, which of course for us in South Africa is very important because we've had the problem not just after COVID, but for a very long time around creative work and how it is regarded and how it should be regarded. And then the third issue is really around the digital economy. Yes. But the space around the digital economy, of course, is also around artificial intelligence, both as an opportunity, but also coming with certain limitations that need to be addressed. There are ethical questions that need to be addressed. But as the Minister also said earlier, it's also a question about who gets paid for what content. And the fact is that those in the Global South ought to be remunerated as fairly as those in the North. And then I think in addition to that, the fourth area is around culture and climate change. And by that we really mean 2 things. What culture can do to help address matters of climate change.
Good question. What can culture do?
Well, what we've seen around the world is that you need to also be able to return to traditional knowledge, to traditional ways, through indigenous knowledge systems, through local languages, what people have been doing over centuries, maybe over even more than 1,000 years, to ensure their sustainability, but also the sustainability of the planet. So really, questions of climate then also go back to questions of pre-colonial times, if you will, and why we are not using that knowledge to take, this thing forward. But I think in addition to that, we need to take deep, dark, hard questions at ourselves and asking, how do we, as cultural practitioners, contribute to the climate change in negative ways, and what practices should we also adopt in order to deal with this matter differently? Because once we embark on that path, it's also about what can cultural workers teach the world, or how do we assist the rest of the world. And I think that overall is an important contribution for us, because we are tired of the world seeing culture in isolation.
Like, for example, I thought this meeting is about who's going to be performing, who's going to be doing what role as cultural and creative industries, and I'm actually stunned by the stuff that you're saying.
Wow, well that's very interesting. But for me, we all know about, remember the MDGs, the Millennium Development Goal. We know that it became the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. But some countries, maybe including ourselves as South Africa, are pushing that culture itself is a pillar and should be a standalone goal in the next round of the SDGs come 2030. So I think that is important for us.
So you would want to have a culture kind of G20, for example? Are you referring to something like what they have with the environment, with the COP?
Yes, we are referring to that, but that it also be seen that it not simply be, education, financing and so forth, but that the culture needs to be seen as very crucial for development purposes, integral, essential, a necessity, a public good, rather than an add-on or mere entertainment, as some would wish to see it.
You only have 2 days, you are the chairperson, and you've got 24 countries. Is that enough?
Well, this is only the second meeting. There will be another meeting taking place in July in Cape Town, and then there will be a final leg in KwaZulu-Natal later this year.
We started the journey with you. Are we invited to Cape Town and KZN?
I'm sure you are, but we will have to check with the protocol officers exactly how it works. But I think it's important that there is participation from civil society. We've been able to draw in experts as well from universities, research structures, who are also helping to assist us to fortify different positions. We're also working very closely with UNESCO. So I think you yourself, as an intellectual, you're welcome to sort of join the expertise.
I was about to let you go, and I interviewed UNESCO, and they mentioned the importance of civil society, and you've also just mentioned the importance of civil society. Is everybody out there aware of that?
Well, I think we have been working with people as much as we can to sort of really bring the message of why South Africa is chairing the G20, why we are championing culture and the cultural domains. So I'm hoping the message is getting out. It may be getting out in modest ways, but I think it takes practitioners like yourself as well to help to get that message across.
Thanks a lot for the interview, Lisa, and good luck on the event.
Thanks. You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you. Thank you.